I had people that would literally walk up to me and they're like, "Christina, are you eating?" And I'm like, "Yeah, of course I'm eating," because they
Sure.
just saw
Yeah,
this progressive that was
yeah.
losing weight. And I realized, I called one of my best friends and she's like, "Christina, that's like almost 50 pounds." And I was like, wow. But what I realized, which is so the Lord, is that oftentimes people who struggle with their weight, who struggle with being, for me at the time, I was overweight, is really because there's trauma, there's stuff they're holding on to. There's like this extra baggage. And through the Lord of me moving here, finally being in a safe place where the cops aren't always at my house, where there's not, you
Yeah.
know, drug addiction and mental illness and
Yeah.
all this crazy stuff happening where I'm not having to go face to face with my abuser every day. There's been so much peace, and the Lord used my horses in my life to bring peace, but it was like this gradual, like healing He did in my soul and with my body to where like now, like I love my body more than ever. And I feel like healthy from the inside out because I know what it's like to be skinny because I was anorexic, but
Sure.
really my soul was starved. But I
Mhm.
also know what it means now to be healthy. Um, but from a place of like wholeness and healing from the inside out. And I know that even some of my jeans are still getting looser and looser, but
Yeah.
I'm just at a point now where even as a model, like with my career, I completely like revamped my portfolio that I'm going to be launching with my agents within the next couple weeks and signing with some new agents that I had walked away from a couple of years ago. But I always wanted as a model to really represent like health and fitness and not this like overweight, image that for me, because when I would look at my photos, being signed with Wilhelmina models from the East Coast to the West Coast, there was such a disconnect. And I just would be like, man, like, yes, I might make a certain amount of money in a day from a shoot, but I still have to live in that body. And I knew I was overweight. I
Yeah.
knew that I wasn't the best version of myself. And that was also the lie I bought into was, oh, well, the industry says I'm beautiful, but I knew that I wasn't being the best version of myself, but I settled because I wanted the paycheck, and whatever it is that the industry gave me. So I think the journey I'm on now is the Lord has completely kind of done like an extreme makeover in my heart, from the inside out, has brought so much healing to where now as I go back in the industry, I can really just be an example and a light to the girls there. And when I look at my portfolio with my colorful hair, I could say that it's a reflection of me because I think oftentimes we put out an image of us that's not us.
That's
And
good.
when I looked at my portfolio before, I was like, this is not me. But now, like, my portfolio is completely me. And a part of my portfolio that I shot with my friends who are like the team at Urban Decay Cosmetics. Like, she's like the,
Cool.
photographer and like,
Yeah.
these other people. And even them, they are known for shooting very colorful, like people. And they said, we've never met anyone like you. And a couple shoots I did before then, because we're doing like, plus size models are doing like skincare stuff now. I did this one where I did like mini buns in my hair with these like stars on my face and with my colorful hair. And the lady that did my makeup does all the Vans campaigns.
Very
And
cool.
yeah, which was so cool. And she just said, where do you like get your inspiration from? And I was like, well, this is just me. And I just began to show her, just who I was, when I'm on tour with the Whosoevers and who I am. And she's like, yeah. She's like, because something like that's not something that is like you don't like that. It's not wearing you like you are wearing it, like if that makes sense. Like
Yeah,
she's
completely. I
yourself
love it.
flow of who
Yeah.
you are. And I think that's also really cool. Just with beauty, just embracing who God has called you to be, being the best version of you, and just knowing that when you try to be something that you're not, even with your body, being overweight or underweight, or even in your own creativity with your beauty, which I really dumbed down my creativity because I wanted to book jobs. But now I'm like, no, I'm here and I want to bring that creative aspect to the plus size part of the industry because it was so like clients would tell my agents, oh, she's very alternative for a long time, but which was so interesting. I had like a Dora the Explorer haircut for a while and I was like, that doesn't even make sense, you know? Like, how am I alternative for these
Like, that
people?
doesn't go together. Dora is not alternative.
Yeah, but at the time, there was just no creativity within the plus size modeling industry, which also I think sucked the life out of my soul because I loved a lot of the creative shoots that a lot of the straight size models could do, but now it's starting to kind of blend, and there's a lot more diversity and stuff, but yeah, that's a little bit of my journey and just kind of where I'm at right now and just loving where the Lord has me, and I'm just super blessed, by just opportunities he's given me, ready to just full send back in the modeling industry with the portfolio that he's allowed me to shoot and just really put my creativity into, and so I'm really excited.
I love like the roller coaster of emotions you just put me on. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh wow, oh wow, oh wow, oh wow. Um,
Yeah.
but I honestly, like, I see myself within so many facets of
Yeah.
that journey.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people who will listen will feel the same way. And whether it's the weight that's the fluctuating, whether it's the people pleasing that's the fluctuating, whether it's the self deprecation or the suicidal ideation. I mean, there's so many elements that I can raise my hand to. And as you were sharing, to know that like the fit in faith piece to what was the original journey that I was on, before fit was an acronym, it really was an element of body, and it was an element of mind, and it was an element of how I felt in my own skin. And so I feel like there's just an honoring to that, like original ascension to the name that has now evolved for founders, innovators, and trailblazers, which are a compilation of all in the industry that you exist. And also just in your creativity that you allow God to infuse your life and your soul and your spirit with the vibrancy of color, which is clearly not something that I'm afraid of. I love color and I love
Love it.
light. But I love something that was really distinct to me is your demeanor, and it's a very unique conversation style that I don't feel like is often met on the podcast, because a lot of people are really like high energy, myself included, when it comes to like driving towards a goal. And I love that like God has just been with you in like the somber, sweet components of teaching you, and the fact that he's so grace filled even in the hardest moments, that he was so steadfast. It's so apparent in the way that you share and the way that you honor him through your story. And so that part really just amused me in a delightful way, so thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, and I think when I was originally learning about how you share through missions and talk to women's groups and youth groups and young girls, I think to like my nieces who are 15 and 16, and color through hair is something that's like a conversation all the time, or the different now like body piercings or tattoos or things like that. And it's like, how do you help infuse like taking care of thyself and also honoring your body while also being very creative? And I have tattoos, so you're not offending anyone.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
just,
I
I'm
know I have a few.
yeah, I'm like, I'm curious, because I think when I was that age and I was in that space of like doing it either from a sexuality perspective, doing it from a place of like my body orientation, rather than I'm doing this because of a meaning that it brings me, or my hair or my physicality, it did feel very void and lifeless, versus now I feel like there's a whole other element